Hello, and welcome to this short class on stress management in a COVID-19 world. Hello, my name is John Thurman, and I'm an author, a therapist, and a work-life consultant. And one of the things I specialize in is stress management. So today in our class, we've got some objectives I want to lay out for you. First of all, we'll learn about the two types of stress. Next, we'll recognize the powerful impact that COVID-19 has had on us, at least in America. We'll understand the role of resistance and resilience in developing a stress management strategy. We'll also go over the 6 characteristics of resilient people. I'll also share with you 6 stress-reducing activities or strategies that you can begin today. And then we'll wrap up with talking about some very specific things you can do right now, activities and things you can engage in to make your day better. So stress defined. Stress is a state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from adverse or very demanding circumstances. And Lord knows we've had those. And you know, in the research, there are 2 types of stress. There's the positive stress, which is eustress, and then there's the negative stress, which is distress. Eustress is defined as a moderate or normal psychological stress interpreted as being beneficial for the experience. In other words, like if you're moving towards a promotion at work, or you're got a new kid coming in, or maybe a raise, or you're working on your finances, that's a good type of stress because it motivates you to do more. Eustress is typically has the following characteristics. It motivates us. It helps us focus our energy almost in a laser beam fashion. It typically is short-term, feels exciting because there's usually some type of reward or benefit at the end of it, and it improves our overall performance. Then there's distress, and distress is basically suffering or pain, a state of being in trouble. This is the really bad type of stress, and it occurs when we have excessive, when we've kind of gone beyond the means we normally have to manage our life. This occurs when demands upon us are really great. Things can lead to physical, spiritual, mental exhaustion and damage. And stress that goes unabated can actually lower our autoimmune system and make us sick. And so distress is not good. And what we really want to do is find ways to navigate around that so we can mitigate and lower the impact of distress and experience more eustress. Now, there have been some really interesting surveys done. And what I'm about to share with you came from a 2020 survey by the American Psychological Association on Stress in America. It's an annual report they do, and it was really fascinating to me to see some of the things that they learned this year. This came out in October, so these numbers are really accurate. I think they really portray kind of where we are. So here's some of the alarming statistics. First of all, 8 of 10 Americans say COVID-19 has been a significant source of stress in their life. I don't know about you, but it sure has been a challenge at the Thurman household. 49% reported that their behaviors have been significantly effective, with 27% say they've had increased tension in their bodies that showed up through pain, more frequent visits to the doctor, more small illnesses related to a lowered autoimmune system, and 20% said that they've become increasingly irritable and have been getting angry quickly at those that they love and their family members and people they're connected to. Another 17% reported that yelling or screaming at a loved one. 19% reported their mental health was worse than it was this time last year. I think we can all really relate to that one. And 63% said the job market and the economy was a significant source of stress. Now, in addition to that, there were other stressors, and this is from a 2019 survey. And in the 2020 survey, these were still present. But the other impacts of worry and stress are that we're a stressed out culture. And here are the top 8 apart from COVID. Money at 69%, work at 65%, the economy at 61%, issues regarding family responsibility, that's 57%, relationship issues at 56%, family health concerns at 52%, and personal health concerns at 51%. You see, stress and distress is a huge thing in our culture, and there's some things we have to do to engage it, to meet it head on, and to mitigate the risk. Some other things about stress is 75% of those surveyed experience regular or physical symptoms of stress. This could range anywhere from headaches, TMJ, anxiety, depression, a whole host of things. From a psychological standpoint, 73% said that they regularly experience psychological stressors. 33% said they feel they're living under extreme stress. 48% feel their stress has increased over the past 5 years, and I imagine that's jumped even more this past year. And, once again, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, distress shows up in a host of ways. TMJ, GI issues, depression, anxiety, headaches, tummy aches for kids, insomnia, a host of things. And as we move through this little short course, I'm going to give you some tools that you can use to push that back. Next is financial pressures. 76% of those surveyed said that money, the pandemic, and work are leading sources of stress, particularly for a lot of people who've been laid off or furloughed. Next are behavioral issues. People who are going through a lot of stress and experiencing distress will tend to isolate more, pull back more, and the quarantine surely hasn't helped that at all. Other people will be more quick-tempered, have a shorter fuse, and tend to get angrier quicker. People report being more depressed, isolated, and withdrawn. And then another thing some people feel behaviorally is they really kind of lose their energy. They feel tapped out. Then the area that a lot of people gloss over, but I think is important, is spiritually. And when you're distressed and dealing with a significant stress over a long period of time, you can feel spiritually disconnected. You have a pretty significantly diminished interest in spiritual things, and you tend to withdraw from those supportive communities. And then finally, 46% of those surveyed say they're experiencing insomnia as a result of stress. Pretty dark, pretty grim, pretty bad. And right now, I hope you aren't feeling depressed or like you're going to do anything sad, because there is hope. And I want to share with you some things that you can do, some things that will give you hope, strength, and encouragement as we push on through and learn to manage our stress more effectively. So what is that hope we're talking about? Well, there are a couple of words I like to use. The first is resistance, and that is we need to learn to resist stress. We need to learn to find tools that keep us from being overwhelmed by it. Matter of fact, resistance is the ability of an individual or organization to resist the negative impact of distress caused by pandemics, natural disasters, or acts of terror. It can be thought of as a type of immunity to stress and dysfunction, a type of vaccine, if you will. You see, we know some of the things that stress us, so we can be proactive in finding ways to lower and mitigate that risk by being resistant. And then the next thing I want to share with you, of the two R's, is being more resilient. And really, resilience is the ability to withstand, adapt to, rebound from extreme challenges and adversity. Personal resilience, what we sometimes think of as psychological body armor, is your ability to bounce back, to pick yourself up and try again and again and again until you either succeed or decide on a more productive direction. So resistance and resilient. You want to know how to be a more resilient person? Well, I'm going to share with you 6 common qualities of resilient people. And I think if you'll listen and reflect, you'll find that you're probably pretty resilient yourself. Maybe you need to pull some of those resiliency skills off the shelf and dust them off. Maybe you need to charge them up and put a little bit of life in them. So let's look at the 6 qualities of resilient people. First of all, resilient people are optimists. Now, they're not some Pollyanna that is just stupidly optimistic. They are firmly grounded in reality, but they have the faith that things will work out all right. Remember Bob Marley's song, "It'll Work Out All Right"? So they're optimistic. Secondly, they have integrity. That is, they are principled people. They do what they say they're going to do. They live in congruence with their values and their morals. Number 3, they have a growing social support system, both inside the work and outside of work. In your neighborhood, in your work groups, through your church, through your community organizations, they're connected, they're networked. Number 4 is resilient people are also decisive. They take action, they make decisions, they assume responsibility. And number 4, they have a tendency to display perseverance, tenacity, and grit. They're not quitters. They find a way to work things out. And then they are experiencing self-control. They learn how to manage and modulate their emotions and do what they need to do. So with the idea of resilience and resistance kind of in your mind, let's talk about some practical stress-reducing tips. First of all, you want to develop this mindset that this too shall pass. A few years ago, Dr. Carolyn Dweck wrote a book called Mindsets, and in that she described 2 types of mindsets. One was the closed mindset that says, this is it, this is who I'm predestined to be, there are no options, I might as well tighten my seatbelt and just ride the roller coaster. I can't learn anything new, I'm predetermined, everything is pre-described. You know, at least in my opinion, that's a pretty sad place to be. The other type of mindset that Dweck talked about is the open mindset, and that says, I'm not sure of everything that's going on right now, but I do believe that I've got within me the tools, the brain, and the connections to do what I need to do in a given situation. So that's really what we're talking about with having that mindset that says, you know what? This too shall pass. We'll move through this, and better days are ahead. The second thing you do as far as reducing stress is just get moving. You haven't got to do power walks. You don't need to go to the gym. Now, if you're doing that, those are all great. But really what we're talking about is just getting out and moving. Even short walks are a great building block. So get out, move, breathe the air, do what you need to do to physically get out and get the blood flow in your body. Next thing, and we could all work on this, is work on improving our sleep hygiene. We need 7 to 8 hours of consistent sleep, and I would encourage you to do what you need to do that. Then we want to practice mindfulness. This is the 4th stress reduction tip. Mindfulness means just being in the moment, not worrying about tomorrow, not fretting over yesterday, but being where you are right now, appreciating the life you have, appreciating where you are in life, having a gracious and gratitude spirit. And what the research has shown us is an attitude of gratitude goes a long way in reducing stress. Number 5, you want to guard your thoughts. In other words, garbage in, garbage out. Watch what you're thinking. Watch what you're taking in. You know, all of us could probably stand to spend a little bit less time on social media because how much of that is really good news? And after all, let's look at Facebook as a highlight reel. It only gives us the good stuff. So limit your time on social media, guard your thoughts, and take some time to put good things in there. And number 6, learn how to self-regulate or manage your emotions, how to calm yourself, how to regulate yourself, how to keep yourself in bounds, if you will. And you can do that through a couple of things. First of all, you can do it through tactical breathing or diaphragmatic breathing. There's a great app that you can get for your Android or your iPhone called Tactical Breather. And it basically teaches you how to do yoga breathing. And what we know from the research is when we're kind of amped up, when we're worked up, and when we're anxious, we can do these breathing techniques, and they actually release some pretty interesting things in our body. When we're stressed, our cortisol levels are really high. But when we do relaxation breathing or tactical breathing, our body releases a wonderful chemical called oxytocin, which counteracts all the anxiety-producing chemicals and help us relax. So try yoga breathing, tactical breathing, or diaphragmatic breathing. And then finally, focus on positive self-talk. Find things, and you know, in anything we can find something good, and our brain will go where we point it. And if we point it to negative, nasty, bad stuff, guess what? That's where it goes. But when we begin to point it in the direction of good thoughts, if you will, of Winnie the Pooh's happy thoughts, we actually get better. Now, I told you this was a short course, so I want to kind of move on towards some stress-reducing activities that you can do today. These activities come right out of the 2019 Stress in America survey that the American Psychological Association put together. And I love them because they're simple, they're cheap, and they're easy to do. First of all, as we mentioned earlier, get moving, exercising, walking, anything you can do to kind of take a break. And I would encourage you to do it without your face being in your phone. Another thing you can do that's relaxing is watching TV. Now, we want to use moderation there. We don't want to do binge watching every night. The third thing is reading. Actually opening a book. Now, I love my Kindle. I love reading on the screen. I love my audio books. But I'm talking about a book in your hand with paper and ink where you have to turn the pages. Next, we found out that eating, now there is stressful eating, but that eating a good relaxed meal with family or friends or even by yourself can be a real time for gratitude, for enjoying the food, the textures, the flavors. Now, I'm not talking about stress eating or speed eating, but basically enjoying a meal with yourself and with the company of others. Did you know that the research showed that going online can actually be a stress reducer? Now, I don't think that actually means going in and comparing stories on Facebook or Snapchat, Pinterest, but we do know that going online, at least in moderation, can be a very stress-reducing activity. Another one is spending time with family and friends, just in your neighborhood, any of your groups that you're connected to, coworkers, and things like that. And then the one that surprised me the most, although as a person of faith, I was thrilled to see it there, prayer and meditation. Whether you're coming out of a more traditional background and maybe the only prayer you know is the Lord's Prayer, that's a great one. Or if you're in some other tradition, prayers and meditating on Scripture are things that can lower your heart rate, increase your O2, lower your stress, and increase your immunity system. Well, I know this has been fast and it's quick. I hope it's been helpful. My name is John Thurman. Let me show you how you can get in touch with me if you need to. And as you see the screen, one of the things that I do is I work with couples and individuals. I do therapy, I do relationship coaching, and I also do a lot of work-life consulting. That is how to help you manage stress so you're more effective at home or at work. And I offer a free telephone consult if you're interested. Here's how you can get in touch with me. My landline number is 505-343-2011. The website is johnthurman.info, and my email address is john@johnthurman.net. I hope this has been helpful. I hope you have a great day. Take care. God bless. And thanks again for your time.